Nothing like waking up to bullshit. Welcome in. Welcome in. Now, I'm making right now I'm feeding my dog. But I'm making, I made a breakfast burrito. It was frozen. Come here, Rubes. It's like sausage, eggs, potatoes, yada, yada, yada. Welcome in, folks. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Hello, fake page. Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna talk about the She Extra situation. I didn't want to go there, but no, you know what, Diamond? I don't follow Lisa. If I see that she's on, I'll watch from the outside to see how she's doing, but that's it. I don't watch her. Fake page. Hello. I like when she says that too. Good morning. So, listen, I'm not going to focus on this too much, okay? Because I wasn't going to make a big deal out of it. Okay? I wasn't going to make a big deal out of the whole She Extra thing going on. People had reached out to me regarding some of the stuff that happened last week. And for those of you that don't know, She Extra was in the hospital for about a week last week. And she's been sick. Okay. And I don't doubt that at all. Okay. I don't doubt that at all. Okay. When I was watching her last week, she kept saying that she needed a wheelchair and she needed a shower bench. Now, the first red flag for me was just a couple weeks ago, she was in a box with me and she kept flexing to Sean that her husband makes a lot of money. Okay. She kept saying, oh, my husband makes 6 figures. I don't need to work. This and that. So then she is saying that she needs a wheelchair and a shower bench. Now, I've gone through that stuff with my father and my mother, and I know that almost every insurance company will cover that shit if it's medically necessary. And sure enough, if we needed to get a wheelchair, which we ended up not having to get for my mom, insurance was going to cover it. The shower bench and the shower rails that you can put in the shower for her to hold on to. And of course, this is going back, almost 9 years now with my mom before she passed. All that stuff is covered by insurance. All we had to do is buy the stuff, keep the receipts, and we submitted them and we were reimbursed. So the fact that she's asking for money for that stuff when she immediately said, oh, my insurance isn't going to cover it, was a red flag. Then, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to read this stuff, but I'm going to post it up here so you can see it. Okay? Insurance and doctors ain't shit. I still don't have a wheelchair or shower chair. At this point, I'm going to have to ask TikTok to help me because I went every avenue, blah, 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 blah. Okay? That was one post. Now, I went in and talked to her last night, And I said, well, you've posted things that you're going to ask people on TikTok. And she said, well, I only made one post. And I said, no, that's not true. You made two. So that's the first one. That's the second one. I never asked for help, but if someone could look at my wish list and help me with a wheelchair and shower chair, it would change my life. So when she was pushing this GoFundMe, her wish list, okay, last week when she was in the hospital, I looked at it, as did a number of other people. And there were no medical things on that wish list. She had all personal items, earrings. I think there was clothing. There was all this stuff that had nothing to do with medical stuff. And she kept telling people to go to this wish list. Then last night she says, oh, well, I didn't realize that was my wish list. I thought I had medical stuff on there. And then my mod helped me change it. So that's weird. That's weird, okay? And then all of a sudden, that other wish list is gone now, and she had a wish list that had the wheelchair and the shower bench, which surprisingly now she didn't need because her insurance is paying for it. So I went into her live yesterday. I went in there twice. First time I went in there, it was because she was saying, oh, everybody hates me because I was in Becky, the dog person. I was in her live and I was trying to help her. And people hate me for that. And I think it's bullshit when someone's trying to help somebody and then you get called out. And I went in there and I said, no. I said, the reason why people are having issues with you is because, and then I just listed all this stuff. Now, every time I tried to talk to her about the wish list or about the posts, it was turned into all of her medical problems. And Ruby, stop. I know it upsets you too. It turned into all about her own medical problems. And I get she's sick, but she didn't want to focus on listening to me or listening to what I was explaining to her. Okay? So, I was talking to her. I was being very respectful. I was trying to get her to understand why people, were talking about her situation, So as I was in a box, I got a call. I had to drop. And then I was going back in, and then she was talking about me, which is fine. That stuff doesn't bother me. She was saying, I used to really like her and this, and listen, that's fine. So I went in there and reiterated again, what the concern was, how, you can't be in a box with somebody that does awareness when you're calling out Sean or whoever for asking for stuff, for begging for stuff. And, last night she kept saying, people say I'm a scammer. No one said she was a scammer. Nobody even called her a beggar. I was just telling her what it looked like, what she was doing last week. So I went into the box again a second time, and, I apologized that I had to take the phone call and all this. And I was reiterating again, okay, what was going on. And, I didn't want to say, anything, kind of final to her. I don't want you in my lives or anything. I didn't say that. And I said, well, good luck with your health, this and that. So then I get a message this morning, okay? And this was the message that I got. I'm not coming for Tiff, and I hope you don't bring up my knee. I don't even know what that is. Just the way you didn't tell me you talked about me. But I don't understand how it's okay that she has a wish list for cat food and nothing has said, but I have one for items that are for medical needs and I get thrown under the coal. So she was saying today that she was asking, the message she sent me was regarding what is the standard for asking for things. She didn't ask me that. So when I got this message today from her and I saw she was on live, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I can be respectful and I can be understanding to a certain point. Okay. So I went into her live and I said to her, last night when we talked, I thought things were fine, but it's obvious it's not, and that's okay. I said, the difference is Tiff has a rescue organization, and that cat food is not for her personal use. It's for her rescue organization. So then she just kept saying about her medical and this and that and this and that. And I told her, I said, do you realize the message you sent me is like kind of what like, a 6-year-old says? Like, oh, well, she did it and, you didn't do anything to her. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So once I got that message, I was pretty much done. It wasn't about, she made it sound like in her live about 15 minutes ago that the message she sent me was trying to find what the standard was on who can ask for stuff or where. That's a bunch of crap. Okay? It's a bunch of crap. She was throwing Tiff under the bus. She made it sound like last night that so many people were asking, what is the standard of asking for help on TikTok? One person in her chat last night asked that and asked a number of times. It wasn't a huge conversation in her live last night, okay? It was not a huge conversation. It was one person. She's trying to, Ruby, go outside, sweetheart. Sweetheart, let's go outside. You're not getting my breakfast. So you can whine all you want. She's trying to make it sound like that the wish list that she had up there was a mistake. And that as soon as she realized it was a mistake, her and her mods changed it, okay? But that was after the fact. That was after the fact that she sent a ton of people over there to help her with medical when there was nothing medical over there. And I'm sure people messaged her. And in fact, in her chat, people were saying, I don't see a wheelchair or a shower chair. And that's when she was in the hospital. So why it took so long to change that or to take it down, I don't know. And I really don't care. Okay, what my point is this. The bottom line is she made 2 posts saying that she was going to ask people for help on TikTok financially. Number 2, she was pushing people to a wish list that I'm not convinced she didn't know was her personal wish list. My feeling is she knew it. And if she wants to say otherwise, that's fine. Number 3, for somebody that's sitting and in my boxes flexing that her husband is loaded and makes a lot of money, but she still has to come on here and ask for help financially is weird. And I'll just say that. It's weird. So after yesterday, I thought it was good. I got that message today. It's bullshit. Trying to throw somebody under a bus to save your ass is bullshit. So at the end of my conversation with her, I told her that I was done. I told her that, I just really don't want her in my lives anymore, and I'm going to block her. Because you can't do awareness when Sean is on, okay? And you can't be calling him out for the stuff he's done, getting money for cars, getting money for gas, getting money for booze, getting money for food, getting money for this and that. You can't call him out and be credible if you have somebody in your life, or worse yet, in a box, that is doing all those things that you're calling somebody out for. So, unfortunately, yes, I did have to block her. Welcome in. And you know what? I'm sure there are people that like her and are unhappy for me saying that, and that's fine. I don't care. I don't really care because my platform, doing awareness on people, is not the platform that people that aren't going to like me after my live here has to worry about. I have to worry about it. So, I understand that. People that are in our lives, that's fine. I really don't care. Y'all can go over there. I don't care. And that's fine. You like her, you can support her. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But, you just have to understand where I'm coming from in terms of calling people out for doing the stuff that she was doing. And can you imagine if I hadn't said anything to her? If I hadn't said anything and I kept having her in lives and in boxes when this is going on? So, I mean, I hate to do it, but unfortunately I had to do it. Hey, Tiff.
Crap I went through. So she, after you left, she invited me up into a box.
Mm-hmm.
People that were in the chat, she shut off comments because people were like, "You won't let Tiff talk. You're talking over her." And she's like, "I'm gonna shut the comments off. I'm letting her talk. We're having a conversation." No, she was stepping on every word I was saying. So I told her that the standard that is acceptable is charities and organizations, not personal.
Right.
And I also told her, I said, your insurance will pay for that medical stuff. They will help you get that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I know. I've been trying for 3 days and I finally got the call and they're helping me. I'm like, 3 days? 3 days is nothing. And she's saying she can't get SSDI. She doesn't have the work credits. I said, you can apply for SSI. She goes, I'm married. I can't. I'm like, I'm technically married.
She said last night that her husband makes too much money. That's why she can't get it.
Then she was like, I'm not rich. But here's the kicker. She is supposedly on her way right now to go meet with her advocate through the insurance and pick up her wheelchair and her shower chair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because her insurance is covering it now.
Right. So I said, it's really comes off bad when you're trying to spread awareness on people for begging and scamming, and then you turn around and you start asking for personal items, which resources are available for.
Right.
And I said, and you just said your resources pulled through. It took 3 days. 3 days is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. The wait time to see my actual rheumatologist in the VA, granted, I'm blessed, everything's free, but I can't get in till February 26th. So even though my entire body is in excruciating pain, I've been bedbound for 2 days, and I can't sleep. I can't sleep at all because I'm in pain. My whole body is like bloated. My stomach is like rock hard. Then sorry, someone was trying to call me. Then the medication that they gave me to try to fight that, the IV antibiotics, it's like a high dose deal. Hold on one second. Let me.
Welcome in, folks. Right now I'm talking about a creator around here. Her name is She Extra. She was she used to be somebody that was in my lives a lot, and she would be in boxes a lot when I was following Sean, who is a beggar on TikTok, and most recently now favorited. And just a quick explanation. She last week was in the hospital, and she posted 2 posts on her accounts about needing to ask people for help for things she needed. And when she was in the hospital, she was pushing a wish list from Amazon, and it got to a point where it wasn't a good look for somebody that was helping do awareness on a beggar when she was kind of doing the same stuff. So I went into her live yesterday, had a discussion with her about some stuff. And then today she sent me a message, and it's kind of like a sibling 6-year-old. Well, he did this. Nah, nah, nah. Well, she did this. I mean, it was ridiculous. Shit. I'm old. I don't need to be dealing with kids on this app.
So the explanation she gave me for seeing my list, because I was like, she said I was wanting to buy one of the tumblers from you, and when I went to go buy it, I saw your list, and I said my wish list for the cat rescue is not on my small business page. They're two different things.
Mm-hmm.
I told her that I had a couple people who insisted, even when I said no, they insisted on making donations. So I have received 2 donations that's in cash, on Cash App.
Right.
And that stayed right in the savings account until needed for the cats. I can always show receipts. The money, I explained to her that I didn't have one before because I was receiving free surgeries. So I was paying out of pocket for everything. The money that now goes to surgeries, since their funding has kind of come to a standstill, they had to cap us all at 4. So the money I was using for that, or the money I wasn't paying for surgeries, I was putting into their food, their litter, their medications, their vet visits, and now I have to pay for the surgeries. So I came on when one of the kittens that got adopted, I think the mouse, was in surgery. And I came live and I said, you know what? I hate the battling thing, but maybe I'm going to have to start battling for the kitties. And that's when people that are generally in here said, why don't you do a GoFundMe or a wish list?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, ugh, that feels icky. People are going to say something. But I did do it as a registered organization. However, that list was not allowing me to select quantity. So I was fearful that I was going to put 2 bags of cat litter and I was going to end up with 40 bags. Granted, I would use all 40 bags, but shit, I'm at 305. Let me kick some more.
Right. So, I mean, the whole thing, she couldn't understand what the difference was. The difference was Tiff was getting cat food for an organization. It's not like Tiff sits there and eats cat food.
I told her that. I said, I don't eat Friskies, and I don't eat lots of sand.
Right. So, whatever. I mean, what's done is done. I'm not going to sit here and.
She never bought the cup.
Of course not. Well, how could she buy a cup when she can't even get a wheelchair or anything? I mean, and that's the absurdity of all this.
Right. You're thinking the way I was hearing this. I'm like, what? I would put a wheelchair before buying a tumbler with Sean on it.
Right. So,
What the hell?
I mean, like I said, I wasn't even going to discuss this. I thought after I was in her live last night, I thought things were fine. I didn't push it. I just let it go. I just let it go. I didn't want to talk about it.
No,
And
I think you handled it very well.
and remember how she said that she was asking me what the standard was?
Yes.
That's why she reached. Yeah, no, she didn't. I'll show you exactly what she put on there. I'm not coming for Tiff, and I hope you don't bring my knee up just the way you didn't tell me you talked about me. But I don't understand how it's okay that she has a wish list for cat food and nothing has said, but I have, and I'm sorry, I'm reading this from a distance because I can't read it. But
It looks
I
like
have, one for items that are for medical needs, and I get thrown under the coals. Nowhere does that say anything about what is the standard. I mean,
yeah.
she had no interest in that,
Wow.
you
And
know.
and she knows, and I do plenty lives and videos, showing the cats are available for adoption. Like
Yep.
I try to pump, them
Listen,
out.
Tiff, this is such a mess. It didn't have to go this far. You know,
Right? And she
I,
claims I'm a friend. She's like, I'll just text Tiff later. I was like, I might be laying down.
yeah. I mean, I'm just, this is the kind of BS I can't stand getting involved in on this app. This is not why, I came on this app. How I never even came on to do awareness, but it happened.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I was trying to ask her one question and she kept cutting me off, because I said it would be one thing if I had a wish list up for my cats, my personal cats.
Right.
However, I also post when cats are adopted. So,
Yep.
obviously I take them in, I take care of them, and I try to find them the best home available. Right now, we have a little bug going around, and I don't know who's doing it, but everything's on pause. Like even Chloe, who has an adopter ready, it's on pause right now because everybody's being treated because I don't know who has a Hershey squirts going on.
Yep.
So, and imagine, I use Chewy Vet. It's upfront pricing, but imagine taking 15 cats to the vet.
Yep. Exactly.
That's costly. But I do not put a cash app in my bio. You know, Helping out with food and litter, that helps me because I literally the only guaranteed money I get every month is $4,044. I have to pay for my home. I have to pay my electricity. I have to pay the stupid title loan that I took out to help Daniel when I should not have. Um, I have to pay for life, and
Yeah.
on the regular, I'm probably left after taking care of them and taking care of the adult responsibilities. I'm left with, if I'm lucky, $150, which is why I DoorDash and came.
Right.
So,
Well, listen, again, we know that
I feel like there's
what that was all about. Okay.
yeah.
So, we don't need to talk about it anymore. I'm not going to talk about it
I
anymore.
have anti-diarrheal medication for them, so they all get their little doses. So we have, and I keep a first aid kit ready for them, which is not cheap.
Right.
So yeah, I have
Well,
this, and they're also on.
yep.
So yeah, so they're
And
all
you're
good for
doing you're
you.
doing that for the rescue, and that
Yeah,
was the point that she couldn't understand. To me now, it's done. I'm not talking about it anymore.
I am the local rescue crash out.
I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm done talking about it. What's done is done, and I'm done with it. So, but I wanted to give you that heads up,
Thank you.
because I messaged Tiff before I went into She Extras Live, and I said, Tiff, I just want to let you know I'm going into her live, and your name is going to be brought up. I didn't tell her what it was about,
No,
but I
and she
wanted to
tried to
let her
say,
know.
yeah, she
I
tried to
want.
say, she's like, I know Scammy told you something. I was like, yeah, she told me she was about to go into your live and my name was going to come up. And I said, I sat here hearing this for the first time just in shock. So, because literally this is printed 10/22/2025.
Yep.
So I've been at the hospital since 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon till about an hour before Scammy texted me.
Yep.
So,
Well,
hi.
listen, I'm glad you went in there, and you know what it sounds like is you tried to reason with her,
I
and it
did try
didn't.
to reason with her, and she just sent me a text. I did try to reason. I also went into like the thirst traps. I'm like, look, maybe use some hashtags. You know, if you're making like these sad posts that sound like there's trouble with you and your husband, and it's trouble in your own head, maybe some hashtags or a little commentary in the description. You know,
Yeah.
because it looks like something else. If it's not that, maybe some clarity on it, you know? And I said in the thirst traps, I post thirst traps, but I'm technically a single woman.
Yep.
So, you know, if TikTok Shop sends me lingerie, I'm gonna wear it and I'm gonna post on my main page and put, you know, this is on my 2.0 if you want to buy it.
Yep.
You know, and I'll post on my 2.0. But I also want, you know, his family to see it because they'll tell him. And then he probably will look on a phone that he has in there. And I want him to, you know, to be like, fuck, what did I do? It's fucking, you know, it's petty. But shit, I can be petty and pretty just by switching one letter. You know?
Yep. Yep.
don't,
I know.
don't try me. I'm not violent, but, you know, I'll get to you the way I can.
Yep.
So, you know, you got 65 years to look at these TikToks and be like, what did I do? You fucked up. That's what you did.
Exactly. Thanks, Tiff.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to go back to cleaning and then lay down.
Okay. Feel better.
Thank you.
So, the only other thing that I want to touch on that happened last night is, you know, I go into a lot of lives. You know, some of them are for entertainment, some of them are for awareness. I go into a lot of stuff, okay? And I'm sure a lot of you are aware last night that there was a live and Florida man got into a box. Now, creators can let who they want up in boxes. I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm not going to. I'm not gonna argue that. Okay. People have the free will to let people in, and you know, I really like. I like Bree. Bree, I go into her lives a lot, and you know what they talk about in there is pretty funny, and you know I like what they talk about, and you know I think Bree let Florida Man up for what she thought was going to be something helpful for people, and it turned out to be the opposite. Now I've been following Florida Man for a long time. Okay, I'm aware of what he does. I'm aware how he plays the game. I am aware how he manipulates people to get on their platform to continue doing the bullshit that he does. Which is why I haven't blocked. And even if he asked me to come up into a box, I would never let him because I know what he does. So, Bree had good intentions of letting him up. I think she thought that there was going to be some explanations of why he does what he does to some of the people that she sits with. She wanted to know, when is this going to stop? When is all this going to stop? But me knowing what I know about Florida Man, which is, I've known of him, it'll be like 2 years, like this December. You're never going to get that shit from Florida Man, because Florida Man does not take accountability for what he does. And when he does something horrible, he thinks it's funny. And he'll never apologize for that. And there's no coming to an understanding, okay? There's no coming to an understanding with Florida Man, because what he does to people, especially women on this app and off this app, does not correlate to anything that people have done to him on this app. So there's not an understanding where you would say, for instance, using my own thing, where, gee, Florida Man, I'm sorry for making a video about you, about wanting to get you arrested and posting a tip line. And now if you'll apologize for putting a lie out there that I left teaching because I was inappropriate with a student. No, there is no understanding. There is no understanding that will ever come to me in that case, or anybody else, for the shit that he's done to people. There is no understanding. It does not it does not balance out. Making videos on people with your opinion, saying something about their hair or their fat or something like that. That happens a lot on this app. People go back and forth. That's kind of an understood thing when you are a creator on this app and you have disagreements with people. It happens all the time. But when you have somebody like him who makes disgusting allegations about sexual impropriety with kids, you make allegations and call a principal of your kid's school, you post somebody's mother's job and tell everybody to contact where the mother works. When you post disgusting allegations on people, when you call somebody's brothers, there is no understanding that you can have with Florida Man on that. And I've said this prior to last night. When people let Florida Man on their platform, it's going to be a disaster. And as I've said, the people that allow him in their boxes will have to deal with the consequences of what he does. And when he got in there last night, he started going after 2 people. And when I see him go in a box of a live that I go in or other people go in that he's done really horrible shit to, It is a punch in the fucking gut. Because what it kind of does is it invalidates what he's done to you. Especially if it's a live that you go into a lot. And that's how I felt last night. I mean, I see this guy in a box, and all this stuff comes rushing into my head about all this stuff that he's done to people. And giving him a voice on a credible platform almost makes it like what he did to hundreds of people doesn't matter. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. And again, like I said at the beginning, she said it, and I believe her that she was trying to get some answers, but he's not going to give answers. He never does. He never gives answers. I mean, let me clarify that. I've heard him try to justify what he does, but his justifications are kind of like, well, wait a minute. Why did you call Queenie's sister or something like that? And his answer is because she's an asshole. I mean, like, that's what his justification is. I agree with that. I agree with that, Jamie. And yes, I've said that. I've said that already. I agree with that. But Florida man does not do that, He doesn't do that. Because especially the people, some of the people that he attacks, okay, have never done anything to him. They haven't done anything to him. The only reason why that he's gone after people is because of who they sit with. So how do you come to a resolution when he's going after somebody that never did anything to him just because they sat with somebody that he doesn't like? You don't get a resolution with him. What you get with Florida man is you get excuses as to why he did it without a basis of why he did it. Or you get the answer with, oh, well, she's an asshole. You have been surrounding yourself with some questionable characters, Scammy. Really? Tell me who I'm surrounding myself with. Tell me who I'm surrounding myself with that has questionable character. Tell me. I need to be more Mexican homie, bring awareness, but let it get personal. You realize that Florida man has gotten personal with me, right? And he's been doing that for a long time, correct? Are you aware of the stuff that he's put out there a number of times? That's all lies on me. Exactly, Pig. I'm waiting for I do. People have gotten personal Mexican, right? But I'm asking you. Do you know? Do you know the stuff that he's put out there and said about me? Are you aware of that? I am all for putting the truth out there and putting facts out there. He does not do that, though. I want to know who the questionable people are too. I mean, I'm interested in that, but I'm not even going to waste my time on that. I am not going to waste my time. Um, you think Florida man is just misunderstood? Okay, yeah, he's misunderstood. Okay, yeah, I almost like pissed myself when I saw that comment. Yeah, you're going to get all those people coming in. That's fine. Let them talk. I mean, they look pretty stupid for saying stuff like that. Well, you know where he will be in Florida man will be understood once he turns himself in and he goes in front of a judge and he gets sentenced because people will understand what he's all about then. So maybe you should tell him to do that. Yes, there's a warrant for his arrest. I've showed it a million times. Yep. Yes, the feds will understand him. The Florida judicial system will understand him. And the prisoners will understand him. Absolutely let the courts handle it. But he's got to get there first, right? He's got to get there. He's got to get to the courts first. But he's running from the law. Do you not understand that? If he has nothing to hide, why isn't he turning himself in? Hmm? Let the police do their job. Okay. Do you know what tip lines are? Make my heart smile. Do you know why police departments have tip lines? Do you know why they say if you see something, say something? Do you understand that? Oh my God. Jessica, you know what? Get the fuck out of here on your burner account. If I want to deal with shit, I'll go in my chicken coop and I'll clean it out. I love how people have such big balls when they come in here and then you look and they got nobody in there. They got no followers. Jessica is spread love, I'll tell you. But I mean, does that not surprise you? I mean, we all know who Spread Love is, and she chills with Florida Man. So go figure that one out. Exactly, OG. Bless their heart. So yeah, I mean, listen, wrapping that whole thing up with that live last night. Okay, I don't. Bree did what she thought, and she thought she was going to do. Help out, and that's fine. I'm not going to. I'm not going to I'm not going to say anything that she did was wrong. All I'm saying is that there were a lot of people that were affected by that and bothered by it. You know, it's like having somebody that verbally abuses you. Okay, um, and then you see him in a box in a live that you spend a lot of time in, and like I said, it was a gut punch, and I think a lot of people felt that way because a lot of us have been on the receiving end of what Florida Man does. And I was just, I was pretty shocked. And, you know, so that's it. I mean, that's, you know, what I wanted to say. I mean, you know, I have, obviously, I have a very strong negative attitude and opinion towards him because of what he's personally done to me. And then you add on everything else that he's done to my friends. And then you add on everything else he's done to people that I'm acquaintances with here on this app. And it's a lot. Total of the reward, um, Mine, mine is $2,000 for information leading to his arrest. Period. That's $2,000. If he is convicted and of the crime, Swamp Collectibles is going to give $10,000 to the person. So that's $12,000. And I understand that. I understand. I've said it. I've said it a number of times. I understand what Bree was trying to do. I do understand that. But I also know that you can't have a conversation with him. Many have tried in the past. He does not, nothing is ever resolved with him. And how can things be resolved when most of the people that are on the receiving end of what he does has never done anything to him that warrants his actions? What did Smashley do that warranted what he did to her and her family? What, because they didn't like, because Smashley doesn't like him and doesn't sit over there anymore? That was warranted for what he did? So what understanding are you going to have? The understanding you're going to have is what? Does he want an apology from somebody? Like, in order to have an understanding and come to a conclusion, you have to admit what you did wrong and you have to say, you know, I won't do it again and I'm sorry. You don't get that from him. Which is why I'm saying there is no understanding. You know, he, over a year ago, he sent me a list of demands of what he wanted me to do during a live that he thought I did wrong. I want you to apologize to Queen Witch. I want you to do this. I want you to... Fuck you! And when he doesn't get that, and when he can't control a situation or a person, he does that bullshit. There is no understanding. You cannot come to a opinion. Or you know, you can't understand why he did it and accept it. And that's my problem. If he came up to me and apologized for talking about my marriage, talking about my wife, talking about my wife's job, calling my brothers, saying that I, left teaching because of a disgusting allegation, saying that he's going to have a former student and talk about. What do you think is going to happen? You think if he says to me, oh, well, I'm sorry that I did all that, you think I'm going to say, oh, okay? No. Sure, Layla. I'll be nice. That's the problem. That's the problem. Nobody's being nice to him. That's the problem. You know what, Layla? You have just you fixed everything with that comment. You're right. Everybody just needs to be nice to him. God, why didn't I think of that? Listen, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that with us. All of these months and all these people that have been dealing with him for years and all the POs and all that. You're right. We just need to be nice to him. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. How about a round of kumbaya? Should we do that? How about a round of kumbaya? We can all hold hands. Better than that. Let's go back to the 70s, okay? Everybody grab a Coca-Cola. Let's all hold hands and we can all sing together right now. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. Everybody, hold your Coke up. With apple trees and honey bees, Florida man could fuck himself. Oops, I slipped. If that doesn't tell you how I think about it. Hey, I love me a Dr. Pepper. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. Everybody say amen. Amen. So, as I always do when I am getting off of my live, please go to my videos. If you have any information on where Florida Man is, Michael Kinney, you could email it to me on the email I posted or call the tip line, which is anonymous for Alachua County, Florida. The sooner he is apprehended, the much better the app will be, the much better the owner of the store will be, and the much more relieved many, many women on this app will be. I have it posted. It's all over the place. A lot of people have it posted. Right, Lulu? It is a decent amount of money. I just want him. I just want him caught. I mean, it's about to get ramped up for him. Pressure's about to get ramped up with him. And it has nothing to do with me or anybody else, what's going on. It's legally. No news on Jen. I find it interesting that, after I made that post the day after she was live where she kept saying, you're just making my case stronger. You're just making my case stronger. And then when I asked her about the 10 payments I made to her, and she kept saying, I never said that. I never said that. I only said 2, and I refunded 1. I never said that. Show me the proof. Show me the clip. And then I did it. She hasn't been on live. So, I bet so too, Diva. So yeah, she hasn't been on live. I don't watch FWA, and I don't watch. I don't watch Florida Man when he's live. I will look at like the replays, and he has not been live on his own platform since the 18th. And Jen has not been in any of those lives because when she is, I always get a message from somebody saying Jen is here. So, and I haven't gotten anything. So my guess is her 15 minutes of fame with those people is over with. And now that, she's been called out and proven that she's lied a number of times, I think she's on the down low, which is fine. Nope, same thing with Sean. Sean has not been on. It's I want to say he was on what, Saturday night, Friday night. He was on like I think like 10 o'clock, and then he was on like 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's when I was in a box with him. So he's reviewing the Ring video still, right? Oh, he was on last night on his platform? Yeah, I haven't checked any replays or anything, so good for him. Yeah, he is. Wow. Yeah, I'll check that replay at some point. Yep. Yeah, and that's what he does a lot. He goes into people's boxes. He goes onto platforms. Somebody just said he was in Mallory's live. Again, amazes me. She was just saying last month, Florida Man and I don't have a relationship like that. We're not friends, and you need to stop saying that. But yet, I don't know. She's always in his boxes, and he's in hers. So whatever. Interesting. And yes, Mallory, I'm still waiting for my apology. Still waiting. Yeah, it is, Breeze. Rockin' Robin. Great name. No apology yet. Nope. Mm-hmm. Yep, Lori. I hear you. Right. I get that, Scram. I get that. Yeah, I did too. Well, thank you, bully. It got to a point, it got to a point where about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I just had it with him. And again, not, for only the stuff he's done to me, but the laundry list that he's done to people. It just gets to a point where something's got to be done. Yeah. So, and I've been reading the comments here. Oh, thank you. You know what's funny? One thing that I did want to say. We'll end it on a funny note, okay? We'll end it on a funny note. So On Sunday night, I posted a plate of food that I was eating at my brother's Oktoberfest party. Okay. That plate of food got over 1,400 views. The post I made of Jen calling her out on her lies got half the views. So a plate of food is more exciting to people than Jen is now. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the situation, I don't know what will. So my bratwurst, the knockwurst, the schnitzel, the spätzle, and the sauerkraut with the stone ground mustard was more exciting than a post with Jen's face on it. Oh, the haggis! Don't even get me started there. Woo! I think we should. I think we should use it. So, I mean, seriously, that tells you everything you need to know about the current temperature on TikTok in terms of who really cares about what's going on in Jen's life. Check it out, though. It's pretty funny. You can see the numbers. It just tells you everything. Right, bullying? So listen, I'm going to get off here because I have some stuff to do today. Wanted to get on there, though, and talk about those two topics. Again, listen, I have no animosity or no ill will towards Bree because Bree tried doing something that was positive last night and it backfired. But it's because of who, the other person was. It was because of Florida Man. I'm sure that everything in her lives and all that will be fine, no problem. And she'll be fine, and everybody else will be fine. But I am, to me, it hurt a little bit. It hurt a little bit. That's it. Hey, Ratina. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful late morning, early afternoon coming up here on the East. I hope you have a wonderful day. Food talk. That's pretty funny. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Yeah, you may need to wear your armor today on the Tickety Talk streets because it's been crazy. Mods, thank you so much as usual for doing your thing. Appreciate it very, very much. Thank you for everybody that sent gifts today. I do appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for coming in. Sing you out today? Okay. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony with apple trees.